Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to this regular called meeting of the Temple City Council. It's about 5:15 on Thursday, October 16th. Apologies for starting a little bit late. Please rise as the Director of Transform Temple, Mr. Buford Craig, leads us in the invocation, followed by the pledge, which will be led by City Secretary Jan Llewellyn.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, that which we in the company of other people, especially in the throng of humanity, have such difficulty learning, and which, if we had learned it elsewhere, is so easily forgotten in the company of other people, what it is to be a human being and what, from a godly standpoint, is the requirement for being a human being. Would that we might learn it, or, if it has been forgotten, that we might learn it anew from the lily and the bird. Would that we might learn it, if not all at once, then learn at least something of it little by little. Would that on this occasion we might from the lily and the bird learn silence, obedience, and joy. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both very much. Next item is public comments. Any citizens wishing to address the council on any matter may do so. Before I finish reading all that, I don't have a list, so we'll just move right past that. Next item is the consent. All items listed on...
Mr. Slato would like to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think about that. So citizens who wish to address the council may do so. We ask you to keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. No discussion or final action will be taken. Mr. Lytle?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for hearing me. I just had a couple of things on the consent agenda, item A, B, and A, C, and then also item, I'm sorry, wrong, A, B, and then also item A, C. I realize that our goal here is to try to help the homeless. I'm just still confused as to why the city would be administering a grant to do this to nonprofit organizations rather than them having complete control of such grants and doing it themselves. The other one, I applaud the AC. I applaud the effort to try to stop young people from smoking. I finally quit after 50 years, but and 10,000 is not near enough. But I'm just, think that our police staff have a lot better things to do with their time than try to police people selling cigarettes and e-cigarettes to minors. Thank you.
Bet. Thank you, Alan. Next item is a consent. All items listed in this section are to be considered routine by the City Council and may be enacted in one motion. If discussion is desired by the council, any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member and be considered separately. Council, during workshop, we mentioned that we'll be pulling item E off the consent tonight for separate consideration. Is there anything else that needs to be pulled?
Mayor, not for polling, but if you would desire, I could address Mr. Lytle's questions on AA and AB if you all would like me to.
No, that's fine. You bet.
Okay. So these are two proposed resolutions that would allow families, a Family Promise and Feed My Sheep to become subrecipients of a grant that the City of Temple receives from the federal government. Council will be familiar with this grant as the Community Development Block Grant. It is a formula or entitlement grant from the federal government. So the federal government provides it directly to the City of Temple because we are a entitlement agency, meaning that we meet the basic criteria for receiving the grant. And then we do have the opportunity to sub-grant out that, if you will, which we are proposing to do with these two items. We are recommending these two agencies who do a great amount of work with providing services for homelessness and those experiencing homelessness in our communities. And so we are recommending that these two agencies receive, basically we're passing through the grant money to them, but they are not eligible to receive the grant money directly from the federal government. It has to go through us to get to them.
Very good. Makes sense. I'm sure that satisfies Mr. Lyon. So, council, again, on the consent agenda minus item E, does anyone need to pull anything else for discussion? Then at this time, I'll entertain a motion on items 3A through 3AE minus item E.
Second it?
We have a motion by Councilmember Kirkendall. We have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. Council, please cast your vote. Consent agenda, item A through AE minus E passes 4 votes to 0. Item E on the consent agenda is to consider adopting an authorization to purchase 2 2026 Freightliner 114 SD chassis with Pipe Hunter combo body from Lone Star Truck Group of Temple in the estimated amount of $1,061,974. Council, I will entertain a motion. Do we need to table or postpone? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to postpone item E.
Make a motion to postpone item E.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. We have a second by Councilmember Grant. Council, cast your vote. Item 3E passes 4 votes to 0. Moving on to the regular agenda, I'm going to read items 4, 5, and 6 in together. Those are the first reading and a public hearing to consider, item 4 is first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing an amendment to ordinance 2020-5061, City of Temple Comprehensive Plan 2020, to amend the future development category from residential to neighborhood services to corridor mixed use on 229.361 plus or minus acres located in the City of Temple, Bell County, Texas, addressed as 8930 and 9018 Old Highway 95. Item 5 is first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing an amendment to ordinance 2020-5061, City of Temple Comprehensive Plan 2020 to amend the future thoroughfare plan in the area south of FM 93. And item 6 is a first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a rezoning and binding site development plan for ag to plan development single-family dwelling 3 for mixed-use development with a minimum 40% of land area for detached family homes, maximum 10% for townhouses, single-family attached 3, maximum 25% for multifamily 2, and a maximum 25% for general retail, with additional uses in the general retail portion to include drive-in theater. That sounds fun. It's been a long time. Mini storage warehouse, vertical mixed use with multifamily and a conditional use permit, and the general retail portion for the sale and on-premise consumption of all alcoholic beverages with 75% or more revenue from alcohol on 229.361 plus or minus acres located in the City of Temple, Bell County, Texas, addressed as 8930 and 9018 Old Highway 95. Mr. Deckman.
Good evening, Mayor. You take a drink of water after that lengthy description.
It was a lot.
Breathe. So I'll be presenting this case. I'll be accompanied Mr. Chandler and Cheryl Maxwell. We've all worked hard on this project of projects, so if there's something I stumble on, hopefully they'll be there to catch me, and we'll recover and keep moving through. So as you read in, there's 3 items before us tonight. 2 amendments to the comprehensive plan, the future land use, determining the uses, and the thoroughfare plan determining the transportation network. That the conversation started based on the zoning case that is before us, and their site plan started us looking at a little bit of the bigger picture, which then went back to there's been a recent policy change about when we have something that's not 100% compliant with either the future land use plan or the thoroughfare plan, we will bring those amendments forward with the zoning case so that everything is addressed at the proper time, and we're not approving something that's not compliant with our plans. So let's start by looking at the big picture. This is in the south part of town, south of 93. It's nearly to Little River, and you see that circular cutout. That's our ETJ, and that circular white area, that's the ETJ for Little River. So this is a very southern fringes of Temple. The railroad runs up the middle of the map on the left. That's the Union Pacific that crosses FM 93. And you can see where there's some of the development shown with those platted lots on the left of that image. That's along Hartrick Bluff Road, and that's the Hartrick Ranch Estates project that's been building out over the last few years. On the aerial photo to the right, again, you see that railroad running up the left hand, Old Highway 95 or Little River Road to the right, and it's farmland out there now. It's crops, it's fairly wide open and flat, and you can see that reflected on the aerial photo. So we've got a number of site photos that reflects what I just told you. Cloudy day over the prairie with a lot of crops, a lot of tilled up land, and you see that Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way running through the middle. There is a crossing there now, but it's not any type of improved or signalized railroad crossing. It's simply for the farmer to be able to get equipment and tractors back and forth from one field to the other. Here's a few more photos that show the same pattern. There are some agricultural buildings and some homes out there. There are some subdivisions going in. You've got Cotton Bottom Estates on Little River Road. That's shown in the upper right. Chimney Hill subdivision, a little bit to the north of this project, also on the east side of Old Highway 95. Otherwise, as you see, it's fairly flat, straight road through the farm fields. So the background, as you read through that lengthy description, it's proposed mixed-use plan development comprised of single-family townhomes, multifamily of various densities, and some general retail. So as you look at that site plan on the right, the light brown is your single-family, which may have some of your attached townhome type development. The darker brown would be multifamily, and then the red is the general retail. There's limits on the percentages of each of those housing types. So that's minimum 40% will be single-family 3. A maximum of 10% would be those attached homes, whether it's townhouses, 2 or 3 or 4 attached dwelling units. We don't know per se just yet. Max 25% of multifamily 2, and then max 25% of the area for those retail uses. Within the GR area, they're asking for some additions that aren't by nature in the GR zoning. Those include the outdoor theater, a vertical mixed use. And they're asking for the ability to have multifamily 3 density, which is up to 40 units per acre for that vertical mixed use. And you may have seen these in some of your other bigger urban areas where you have offices, a Starbucks or restaurant or some shops on the ground floor, and it's concrete construction, and then it's boards and sticks going up for your residential. So that's the vertical mixed use model you start to see a lot. We may start seeing them in Temple very soon. But we won't know per se until they come in with both the subdivision plat and the building permits. The maximum height that they would be allowed for that vertical mixed use would be 5 stories. Multifamily 3, if you're familiar with our zoning table, allows you to go up to 10 stories. It's the high rise, which we don't have very many of. We don't, and this was at the applicant's request to limit that to the 5 stories. They're also asking for a conditional use permit to allow sales of alcohol for on-premise consumption. Could be restaurants, could be bars, different thresholds, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But those are the uses that are being baked into this plan development. So they're limited to 25% of the total area for whether that's the multifamily 2 or the multifamily 3. If they go with the attached townhome, single-family attached model, we're giving them an allowance of reduced lot area from 2,300 to 2,000 square feet to get some greater density. And the conditional use permits, our code has different thresholds based on the type of alcohol being sold and the amount. And the thresholds go back to what amount of revenue is coming from the sale of alcohol versus sale of food or T-shirts or merchandise or who knows what. But it just can't exceed 50 or 75% of alcohol based on your specific permit. The applicant is requesting the over 75% revenue, which would allow a bar. Staff is recommending the under 75% of the total revenue would come from alcohol. That puts it more into the restaurant setting. Our justification for that boils down to risk management. Without the normal CUP process, those restaurants, bars, whatever they may be, could go nearly anywhere without an additional scrutiny of what's it next to, what's nearby, how big is it, what are we approving? So that's where staff were maybe just a little bit risk averse on this one. As it went at P&Z, there was some discussion with the applicant about his transparency and the types of uses that have been implemented in the Westfield area that have, by and large, not caused the problems. And they agreed with the applicant. They have recommended approval of the over 75% threshold, and we'll come back to that when we look at the PD conditions. So the two things on the dimensional standards that I've mentioned, is the reduction in the lot area based on standard code. SF3 would be 2,300, or SFA3, we're allowing them to go down to 2,000. And then the limitation on the height stories for the multifamily, limit that to the 5. As far as the number of dwelling units, this is going to be a big project. It's going to have a lot of dwellings, whether the mix is heavier towards attached or multifamily. Could be, these are based on the maximum theoretical density, without breaking out whether there's roads or if it's, less than the 10% of single-family attached. What's the maximum? If they max it out, what would be possible? And I think the takeaway from here is there's going to be a lot of homes, but if you max out one, you're probably going to lose dwellings in another, so that mix may be fluid. But we're probably looking at quite a few, couple thousand dwellings, which is going to result in a lot of traffic. We figure around 16,000 residential trips, maybe 6,000 non-residential. Again, highly dependent on what mix of non-residential uses. A restaurant with a drive-through is going to bring a lot more traffic than mini storage, or maybe a small office park. Dentist office or a massage therapy business would have different ratios. So until the developers start bringing in tenants and businesses build in there, this is a very, I'd say, educated guess, but a very wild educated guess. If we assume that my math is reasonable, that's 16,000 residential trips and 6,000. We're looking at 20,000 plus trips. The capacity on a minor arterial is 12 to 24,000. So just with this development, you're already maxing the capacity on that roadway. The challenge with Old Highway 95, even though it's classified as a minor arterial, it's not currently built as one. It's built more along lines of a rural collector, which would have 300 to 2,600 daily trips, which that's about the volume of traffic that it's carrying now. So this is going to grow to a point where something's going to be brought forward to design and address that traffic. That's one of the reasons there's some thoroughfare plan amendments coming forward. That's also the reason why their site plan shows 2 collectors crossing through it. So number 1 on that map, that's your minor arterial coming down, not built as a minor arterial, but designated, could be upgraded in the future. Having that second minor arterial crossing east to west that could cross the railroad tracks, and we're not saying who's going to build the bridge, but a bridge would be preferred over an at-grade crossing. And then the last is that community collector that runs north-south, bisects the property, and that's going to run up to connect to some of the other phases of Meadow Lake and some of the surrounding properties. So that will take some of the traffic load off of Old Highway 95 if they can run north and south on a parallel collector road that will be built to standard from the start. So just to reiterate, we don't currently have a CIP project for Old Highway 95. We'll have to look at some options between what Public Works and what Tracy has in the budget and what the developer's willing to work with us on. The need to handle the traffic and address public safety, that's paramount. That's everyone's goal on both sides of the table. We just don't have a lockdown plan right now. But we do need to do those thoroughfare plan amendments to address the changes that are coming because of this development. With the PD conditions related to access and circulation, is also address the subdivision entrance based on those new collectors, based on the number of homes, whatever that mix looks like once they come into platting, then we will evaluate those off of the collectors that will be built at that time. So we'll make sure they have the entrances. Our goal is to not have to bring this back for an exception because they're trying to build more lots than our code would allow for the number of entrances. So we will review and evaluate that at the platting stage. There is an alignment for a Trails Master Plan neighborhood connector down Old Highway 95. Sidewalks would be required along the arterial. And it's worth noting that there's also going to be sidewalks along those collectors and arterials through the development. So there will be some additional pedestrian connectivity in the neighborhood itself. So there are some existing utilities in the area. There's an 8-inch water line that runs down Old Highway 95. There's an 18-inch sewer line. There's been some additional sewer infrastructure planned and designed on the other side of the railroad. Some of that could be extended across to serve this neighborhood. What they're proposing is 8 and 12-inch looped water lines within the development that would connect to the cities. And the master plan for the sewer, we do show a future 16-inch force main that would have a lift station that would feed that back up into the system. So, is this compliant with our criteria for rezonings and plan developments? And the answer is yes, but the future development plan and the thoroughfare plan require an amendment for this zoning case to be fully compliant. So let's talk about the amendments. So there's two of them, the land use plan and the thoroughfare plan. They went to Planning and Zoning Commission on the 6th. So there's two maps. Apologize, apparently there was some confusion about the scale of the maps. That's when you have two different planners making their own maps, and that's what the result. And Cheryl and I have worked for a long time together, but we do not have a complete mind meld yet. So her map shows a bigger picture of the land use. The thoroughfare plan map is a little bit more tightened in to this specific vicinity. So it gives you a sense of what are the other future land use designations in the area. It's primarily, you can see the yellow is residential neighborhood services. And the proposed mixed-use development includes some uses that may not be strictly aligned with the residential neighborhood services designation. You know, we looked at some of those activity centers to the north on 93, as you see those hash circular areas, but also looked at some of the residential subdivisions on the east side of Old Highway 95. Does it warrant a bigger future land use amendment at this time? And our answer is no, we're confining it to this project. But the corridor mixed use then brings in some of those other retail uses, allows for the higher intensity and density. The surrounding residential future land use is appropriate for the general area. As other development comes in, we may evaluate that. We may be back here talking about a same amendment for a different property in the near future. So that's why we're bringing this comp plan amendment for the future land use plan. The thoroughfare plan, so this is the current thoroughfare plan. And you see the green is the arterial for Old Highway 95. Blue is the arterial for FM 93. And there's a number of collectors that crisscross through the area. There's a proposed minor arterial at the bottom of the map in that dashed green line. And this is what the proposal is. This is based after sitting down with the developer with some of their thoughts and looking what our current plan, what future connections could be made. So from the top down, the first thing you'll notice is that line that runs diagonally off of 93. It'll now follow Spur 93. That road is already in the process of being designed with the first phase of Meadow Lake. That's going to wrap around that new Temple ISD school, and then it aims straight south. They're adding the new collector going to the east, which will cross Old 95 and make a future connection to Highway 95, State Highway 95. So that connection was intended, but it's being slightly realigned. We're moving that minor arterial on the southern edge, moving that up to align with the one that's proposed with this planned development. And you see that'll also connect from Hartrick Bluff across the railroad and then eventually all the way over to State Highway 95. So now we've added some east-west connectivity, which will give some relief to FM 93. As we're adding homes in this area, we don't necessarily bottleneck and channelize all that traffic up to TxDOT's roadway. So there'll be some additional options. On the west side of the railroad, you see that that collector does edge and wrap around, but eventually curves back up, and that aligns with South Fifth. So at some point in the future, that'll be an extension of South Fifth Street, and it'll run down into Hartrick Ranch. You see it'll curve around into that development. So that'll be a primary north-south collector on that side of the railroad. So we're adding the capacity by adding these new alignments. We're providing that connectivity between the neighborhoods and the adjacent roadways, the state highways, and our local roads. These are constructible. They're not running over a cliff or a bluff. We're not necessarily, other than the minor arterial, we're not proposing a bunch of roads that would cross the railroad right away, which requires a lot more permitting. And it's in line with the character. That minor arterial running through, being the dividing line between the single-family residential, multifamily, and the retail on that plan development. You've got that division between those two character zones. So those are the criteria for looking at a thoroughfare amendment, what I'm going to start calling the 4 Cs as we do more of these. So at the October 6th meeting, staff recommended, P&Z concurred, voted 8-0 to recommend approval of both the future land use map amendment and the thoroughfare plan amendment. The amendments did require public notice, did not require mailed notice to surrounding owners, so it was published. DRC did not issue any, did not identify any issues with the amendments. The zoning case also requires public notification. That did have mailed notices. We mailed 3 in the city, 6 courtesy notices to the adjacent ETJ properties. We've received no notices or no responses back, either in agreement or disagreement. And this was also printed in the Telegram on September 25th. So staff recommends approval of the rezoning and the site development plan, subject to 15 conditions of approval. Staff is recommending on condition 14 to have that threshold at 75% of the revenue from alcohol is below 75. The applicant does not concur. At the October 6th meeting, P&Z voted 8-0 to recommend approval, and they recommended allowance of 75% or more. So the other approval conditions, we'll go through these. I won't read these verbatim. Lays out that the site development plan is binding. The percentages of the use are laid out with max or minimum 4% single family, 10% max for the attached, 25% for the multifamily, and 25% for the retail. The additional uses that we talked about earlier. That the townhomes would go to 2,000 square feet. Sorry, I should have brought my water up here. The front yard setback for residential lots could be reduced if parking is provided to the rear, so an alley-loaded lot. The townhomes would require that alley loading unless they have the wider lot widths. That condition 10 and 11, that's us addressing the subdivision standards, making sure that we're meeting fire safety standards, addressing the traffic issues, and that those roads are not going to cause a problem in the future. So we are requiring minimum 10% landscaping for the non-residential multifamily uses. Requires a tree, preservation of any existing trees that may be out there, screening and buffering between single-family uses and adjacent non-residential uses, solid fence or masonry wall, for example, or vegetated buffering. For the GR area, the CUP, that's only in that red GR area on the site plan. This is the point where staff and P&Z and the applicant diverged. that the DRC will still look at the site plan review for the alcohol uses. And regardless of the threshold, all alcohol uses are still subject to Chapter 4 of the Code of Ordinances and Section 5.3.15 for on-premise consumption out of the UDC. The planning director may approve minor changes to that site development plan. So those color areas, those are conceptual, those may shift. But if they come in with a major change, that's going to come back to you. So if all the multifamily went away, or it shifted to the south and those collectors rearranged, we'd be back here talking to you guys again. So we're back where we started with the three items, actions for recommendation in front of you, the two comp plan amendments, and then the zoning case, as the mayor had read in at the beginning. And that concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions you may have. If I can't answer them, Brian and Cheryl will pitch in.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. That was a lot. That's a lot of moving parts in this one.
Yeah, a heck of a night for me to forget my water.
I know, do you want,
I'll be all right, thanks.
I know.
I know.
Down to that man.
You're on your own.
It's coming your way.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Now, that doesn't mean you get to talk another 30 minutes.
Yeah. I have
I'm
a
here
quick
for you.
question. I have a quick question. The mixed-use vertical, you said it could go up to 5-story,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And then, so Chief, where is the new fire station? Where will it be located? This is really a whole lot going on down here. Surely we're gonna have one of our new stations down there, right? And it'll have to be a ladder truck?
That's correct. So.
Chief, do you mind coming up?
Sure.
Please, sir.
We don't have the pointer.
Nothing like being put on the spot.
Sorry.
Yep. So I'll just walk up here and point at the thing. So we're looking at right about this area right here. Oh, move it.
Don't touch it.
Okay. Maybe I'll just stay with the pointer.
It doesn't have one.
Okay, it doesn't work.
We get it.
Wow, okay. So right about where the general retail and the multifamily is there, just above the north side of the road is what we've been looking at. There's a portion in there I've talked with the owner about giving us about a 3-acre parcel of land there, so somewhere right in that general vicinity. And that's because that's the road that goes through. It's going to have the railroad crossing. It's going to meet all of our requirements as far as accessing, getting back and forth. Now, ladder truck for that one, that is just planned for an engine right now. The closest ladder truck would be at Fire Station 3, and I was trying to remember the coverage on that one. It's going to be close, so.
Okay, all right,
And-
thank you.
Yep.
And just as a reminder, that in the fire master plan, that is shown as Fire Station 14. We are on Fire Station 9. You know, we're building Fire Station 9 in the next couple of years, so that is still a few
Yeah, it's
down
out
the
there.
list, if you will. But right now, Station 4 is the southernmost station on Waters Dairy. Station 10 is proposed to be near 31st and 93. So that station would serve this area as well until this station is built. And just as a reminder, stations 9, 10, and 11 are proposed in the 6-year plan for full construction and staffing. And the next station, whether that be, I think if you'll recall, we kind of talked about 12, 13, and 14 are really going to depend on growth and which one goes first. 12 is the Loop in East Young. 13 is would also be in this would
General
provide
vicinity.
coverage for this general area. Would be like Blackland, Barnhart area, and Little River Road, and then this 14, Station 14 in the master plan is shown as this one. So, and I think that's it.
Yep, that
We
is
just went
correct.
through 14,
Yep,
That's all.
and then it'll be time for a new master plan.
yep,
And
correct.
the station that could house a ladder truck is which one?
Station 9 is proposed as a ladder truck, which is generally Tarver, Jupiter, and Outer Loop in West Temple. Station 3 has a ladder truck. Station 6 has a ladder truck, and Central has a ladder truck. So there's a bigger. What is the radius for ladder truck service?
2.5 miles.
So generally it's 1 mile. You want generally a 1 mile radius for an engine, but 2.5 for a ladder. So you don't have to have a ladder at every station.
So
And
we're
it's
within that
certainly-
2.5.
It's going to be close. I'm not sure that this will be exactly in it, but it's going to be close.
And it also has to do with how many multi-story buildings that you have. So I think that here, really with stations 12, 13, and 14, we just need to, as we've talked about throughout the whole budget process, we just need to keep our eye on development patterns and make adjustments to the plan in terms of timing, and also whether one or more of those stations need to be built as a ladder engine. Now, the station itself, the design doesn't change because we are projecting for the future, so we would want a station built that could accommodate a ladder at any time. The real impact is in station staffing, because a ladder truck needs an additional staff person per shift than an engine company does. So that's the real impact. And the initial investment of the ladder truck is more than the engine, but certainly can be made, that call can be made closer to the time that the truck would be ordered, the truck or engine would be ordered for this station. So I would suggest we just keep our eye on the development patterns, and as we get closer to the time to make that decision, we have another conversation about what would be appropriate then.
And we
Yeah.
also take the measurements. I think the city of Houston
Yes.
ordered
Yeah.
a new ladder truck, and it didn't fit in their station.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
They didn't quite.
Yeah, so you always plan stations to fit anything that you would possibly
Right,
own, and
right.
so, yeah. So, Ms. Myers is absolutely correct. All of the stations that are going to be built from this point, other than 9 is going to be a much larger station, or is proposed to be a much larger station for some administrative offices that we're in need of. But 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 are all going to be based off that Fire Station 7 design that I showed you in the workshop. So they should all look very similar to that one, at least in layout. They may look differently on the outside depending upon the neighborhood, but as far as layout and capability, they should be extraordinarily similar to the Station 7. It's kind of going to be our flagship station from this point forward.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Council, anything else before we move to public hearings? Okay. Items 4, 5, and 6 are subject to a public hearing. We'll do one public hearing for all 3 items. We ask you to step to the podium and state your name for the record, or raise your hand on the platform.
Mr. Lidle would like to speak.
Okay, very good. Alan?
Good evening again, Council and Mayor. Alan Lyle, I live here in the south side of Temple. And right now, we don't have any bars anywhere close to my neighborhood, so I'm a little concerned. The actual item 6 on the agenda has the 75% or more, but as Mr. Deckman pointed out in Planning and Zoning, we had a large amount of discussion about that. And I was under the impression that we were going to leave it at 75% or less, i.e. no bars. So I'd like y'all to consider not allowing bars in this particular area. The other thing about the other 2 items 4, and 5, apparently, based on what I saw from Mr. Duckman, we're going to have already old Highway 95 crosses 93, and also Hardwick Bluff crosses 93. Neither one of which have a light at them. They simply have warnings that cross traffic does not stop. In Highway 93, they have a lot of traffic, especially around 5 o'clock, and it's traveling at 60 miles an hour, which I'm afraid that what we will end up with once we get this all built out without any additional stoplight restrictions, we'll end up with an awful lot more accidents at those two intersections. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
thank you,
can
sir.
address Mr. Lidle's questions about the signals.
Okay, Doug?
If you'd let me get the map back, I'll go to the thoroughfare, because So Mr. Lytle asked about traffic signals on 93. In fact, we have two coming in the very near future. There's one on Hartrick Bluff Road in 93 that's been designed. That one is very close to letting. Ed Kalaki over in Public Works, he's the project manager. He's been getting that thing pushed through. It's taken him longer, but we're right there. So that one's going to come in first. The second one was triggered with the Leon Reserve and the first part of Meadow Lake, that we saw that traffic impact analysis that required not just the signal at Old Highway 95 and 93, but an additional one at Spur 93. So the first signal at Old Highway 95, that's already warranted. So we've been meeting with Turley and TxDOT and our Public Works. They've been moving forward with the designs on that one. Very close to getting that completed. And then the third traffic light, it'll be a little bit further down the road when there's enough development for that one to meet warrants. And the TIA put out two paths where that could happen. One is at 55% of those, both residential developments, at 55% of those homes being permitted, the signal's warranted. Or if we've got 20% of the homes and the school is completed, that's going to meet a warrant. So that third signal at Spur 93, right there by the railroad crossing, that may come a little bit later. It's going to have to meet certain conditions. But the two at Old Highway 95 and Hartrick Bluff, those are pretty much a done deal. We just need to get the designs finished, get the projects out for bid, and start construction.
Those are at the expense of the state?
No,
No?
the state does not pay for traffic signals in cities that are 50,000 of population or over. So Hartrick Bluff Road will be constructed as part of the first phase of that project that goes from 93 north to Waters Dairy.
Yeah.
That's already funded and about to be let, as Mr. Deckman mentioned. You have historically done a set aside that would fund up to 2 signals per year in the Transportation Capital Improvement Program. So we do have some funding available for future signals as they meet warrants, but the Hartrick Bluff would be done as part of the construction project.
Remind me where the TISD site is, where the school could go.
If you're looking at the map, I'll walk over here. It's this triangular, rectangular oblong where 93 Spur comes and then runs around. That's the future school site.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Counsel, anything else for Mr. Deckman? All right. Anybody from the audience? Anybody else on the virtual platform? Probably not.
No, sir.
Anybody from the audience wish to speak on any of these? All right, then at this time, I'll close the public hearing. And council, I'll entertain a motion on item 4.
Motion to approve item 4.
Mr. Lytle put his hand back up. I'm not sure if that was intentional.
Say it again.
Mr. Lytle put his hand up again. I'm not sure if that was intentional.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, it was. I didn't hear Mr. Deckman address my issue with the 75% or more alcohol sales.
That's Mr. Deckman's explained that, but that's not really, not something he can answer. That's a council decision.
Yes, well, in the item 6 that you have on your chart there, it has that in there. And so I would really like to see you not allow bars in my neighborhood. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Understood. Thank you. All in, all done?
Put your hand down.
Okay. So,
Right, motion for approval of item 4.
okay. You have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. We have a second by Councilmember Grant. Please cast your vote. Item 4 passes 4 votes to 0. Council, I'll entertain a motion on item number 5.
Motion to approve item 5.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. We have a second by Councilmember Kirkendall. 5 passes 4 votes to 0. And I'll entertain a motion on item number 6.
On number 6, I will move approval with the caveat that we change condition 14 on the alcohol sales for the alcohol sales to be 75% or less.
So that would be staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation.
Okay. Is that clear enough? Okay. So I will entertain a motion, council, on item number 6, which is to accept staff recommendation.
I will second Councilmember Kirkendall's.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Kirkendall. We have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. Council, please cast your vote. Item 6, accepting staff recommendation, passes 4 votes to 0. Moving on to item 7, is a first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing the voluntary annexation of 51.6 plus or minus acres located in the Maximo Marino Survey, abstract number 14, City of Temple, extraterritorial jurisdiction, Bell County, Texas, addressed as 4181 Tower Road. Mr. Chandler.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. For this voluntary annexation, that when the process has begun, and I think it's still the case, but it's called the Lee Tract, but TEDC is in the process of purchasing it, and so they're authorized to move forward as the agent for this project. And so here's the 51 acres and change just to the south along Tower Road. And I'd like to point out, if you look at the aerial, just to the right of the 51 acres is the 10 acres that we own, the Blackland Prairie Park. And so in the future, we'll move forward with annexation there. But for now, it's just to accommodate the Lee Tract. And so, of course, Chapter 43 governs voluntary annexation. And so this meets all the requirements, including contiguity, so that it's adjacent to existing city limits property. Also, in terms of notification to affected agencies, including, in this case, not only Temple Independent School District, but Little River Academy, as well as Bell County. So they have all been notified and are certainly aware of that. And also, as part of the Chapter 43 of the Texas Local Government Code, a municipal services agreement has been circulated to all relevant departments to evaluate the impact and their ability to provide services in the future. No issues were identified during that process and shared with us. So staff is recommending approval of the voluntary annexation for the Lee Tract.
Good.
Happy to answer your questions.
Yes, sir. Council, anything for Brian? I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak may do so. Ask you step to the podium or raise your hand. No hand raised yet?
Nothing yet.
Okay, we'll give him a minute. Anybody from the audience?
And he's up.
I knew it. Alan, you're up.
Thank you. The only reason I raised my hand is to tell you I was not going to raise my hand. I have no objection to this. Thank you.
Thank you for not raising your hand. All right, with that, I will close the public hearing, and council, I'll entertain a motion on item 7.
Move approval for item 7.
We have a motion by Councilmember Kirkendall. We have a second by Councilmember Grant. Council, please cast your vote. Item 7 passes 4 votes to 0. That's one we've been working on a long time. Item 8 is a resolution to consider adopting a resolution authorizing the purchase of 4 new Ford Explorers from Randall Reed's Planet Ford 365 of Garland in the estimated amount of $163,100. Ms. Bernard.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Just a little background on this item. On February 11th, 2025, we received 9 vendors submitted bids for 8 independent vehicle bids, 15 vehicles total. On March 20th, on consent agenda item 4C, council awarded bid H, which was 4 medium-sized 4x4s SUVs to Don Ringler Chevrolet for $145,656.80. On July 28th, the delivery of the 4 Chevrolet Blazers from Don Ringler was declined for not meeting specs. And the reason it didn't meet specs, engine size 4-cylinder versus a 6-cylinder, the minimum horsepower rating was specified at 284 horsepower, and these had 228, and there was no heavy-duty towing package. So this had staff going to, on the bid, recommendation of award to the next lowest bidder for 4 vehicles with local preference options. And just to remind you of local preference, it's applied to competitive sealed bids, expenditures of less than $500,000. The local bidder must be located within the city limits, and with their bid, they submit local preference declaration. The local bidder's bid is within 5% of the lowest bid received, and staff will always recommend the low bid for award. Council can determine that whether the local bidder offers the best combination of price and additional economic development opportunities. And on the bid before you, the next low bid was Randall Reed Planet Ford of Garland for $163,100. Johnson Brothers Ford Lincoln of Temple was at $167,682 for Ford Explorer. And if you apply, Johnson Brothers bid was within the at 2.77% greater than Randall Reed's, and it's within the 5% limitation. And before you, you have option 1, no local preference, award bid H to Randall Reed's Planet Ford 365, or option 2, award local preference option to Johnson Brothers Ford Lincoln. And before you have motion language, if you so desire to choose option 2.
Okay, very good. Council, anything for Tracy? Okay. As Ms. Bernard said, you have your special language at your table. So at this time, council, I'll entertain a motion on item number 8.
I'll move that we go with option 2, local preference, and recognizing that Johnson Brothers Ford Lincoln of Temple is a local vendor that offers the city the best combinations of price and additional economic development opportunities under the city's local preference policy. I make a motion to purchase the 4 medium-sized 4x4 SUVs from Johnson Brothers Ford in a total estimated amount of $167,682.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
I will second the local preference option.
We have a motion by Councilmember Kirkendall. We have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. Council, please cast your vote. Item 8, exercising the local preference option, passes 4 votes to 0. Item 9 is consider adopting a resolution authorizing a construction contract with TTG Utilities, Inc. of Gatesville for the construction of the Veterans Memorial Boulevard Phase 1, which is Spur 290 project, in the amount of $7,757,757.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a short presentation for you. This is another project that's been a long time coming. Veterans Memorial Boulevard, this is Phase 1 on Spur 290. Improvements include widening Veterans Memorial to allow additional turn lanes, a median, 10-foot sidewalk, landscaping, which will be updated to the Temple Medical and Educational District standards, as well as TxDOT standards. Drainage improvements also include new storm sewer and improving the existing storm sewer that's there and the concrete channels. At Avenue U, we're updating the traffic signal to bring that up to date to the MUTCD code. So bids were open on September 16th. We only had one bid, which was TTG. It was under the engineer's OPC of $8.2 million. And Casberg, Patrick and Associates, and staff recommends awarding TTG the contract.
Very
Any
good.
questions?
Thank you. You're right, that one is a long time coming.
Yes, sir.
Talked about that for years. So, councilors, any discussion or questions?
Looking forward to kicking it off.
All right, with that, council, I will entertain a motion on item 9.
Item 9.
Carl, did you second? Very good. We have a motion by Councilmember Grant. We have a second by Councilmember Kirkendall. Council, please cast your vote. Item 9 passes 4 votes to 0. Item 10 is consider adopting a resolution pursuant to Chapter 2206, Governmental Code, Section 2206.053, finding that one property and 2 temporary construction easements situated in the Nancy Chance Survey, Abstract Number 5, Bell County, Texas, are necessary for the proposed construction of the Outer Loop West project, authorizing the use of eminent domain to condemn the properties and authorize the expenditure of funds in the amount determined as just compensation by the appointed special commissioners, currently estimated to be approximately $1.3 million. Mr. Bandis.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we are here on a condemnation for the Outer Loop West project. So I'm just going to start with a quick project overview. Hopefully at this point, we're all pretty familiar with Outer Loop West. So here we have the big overview project map. Outer Loop West project is increasing connectivity through South and West Temple with new roads and medians and sidewalks. This particular phase is the connection at I-35 at the south end. We have 7 acquisitions remaining for this phase, including this parcel that's in front of you today. This is the parcel. The address is 4202 Twin City Boulevard. It's owned by a corporation, 4202 Twin City LLC. The acquisition, it's just over 3 acres of right-of-way, and then we have a .4092 TCE on one side and a .1716 acre TCE on the other side. This is a site picture. This came from our appraisal that was conducted in May. So the pink parcel is going to be the right-of-way acquisition, and then those blue lines represent the TCEs that will flank either side for construction. If you look at that picture on the left, you can see this property is pretty much right where the Outer Loop West is going to come in to connect to I-35. And this road will have to raise over. It's going to be an elevated crossing over that railroad that you can also see in that left picture. Our offer process with the owner received the initial offer on June 30th. On July 16th, Owner's Council contacted our right-of-way consultant and asked when the city would be filing a condemnation petition. And so on August 8th, we sent them our final offer as we're required to by state law. We did not receive a counteroffer. They asked us again when we were going to file a condemnation petition. So at that point, we knew that they would not be giving us a counteroffer, and they did not want to negotiate. They just wanted to go straight to special commissioners. The necessity for the property, as I said earlier, this is going to be the site of an elevated crossing to get over that railroad. And this is critical for the location of the project where it connects to I-35. Necessity of eminent domain, the owner has declined to accept or counter our offer, so acquisition by agreement appears unlikely at this time. And in order to keep the current project timeline, staff is requesting City Council exercise its authority to condemn this property. The condemnation process, when focused solely on the value of the land, may take up to 9 months to complete, depending on the availability of special commissioners and any possible appeals to the county court at law. The general condemnation process, if anybody's unfamiliar, if council chooses to exercise its authority to condemn this property, we will file a condemnation petition with the county court at law. At that point, the judge will appoint 3 special commissioners who will hold a hearing to determine the fair value of the property. And then the city can pay the amount of the special commissioner's award into the court register. And at that point, the city has the right to possession, and we can start any project work that we need to. If the landowner objects to the amount of the award, the case can go to trial, and it would be a trial by jury, but the city is still allowed to proceed with possession and use of the land. I'm open for questions, and hopefully you guys have special motion language in front of you for this one. So, any questions?
Counsel, anything for Mr. Bandis? It's unusual that they didn't present a counteroffer. So I don't know if that, based upon our experience, is that normal, or do they just think that the special commissioners will maybe come up with a better deal, or wanting to gift something to the city?
Yeah, no, it's not normal, but we do know the counsel that they retained, and they retained good counsel. So they might be betting on just a better chance in front of special commissioners as opposed to negotiations.
They didn't want to set a ceiling by counteroffering.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Very good. Counsel, nothing for Mr. Bandis? All right, then at this time, council, I'll entertain a motion on item 10.
I will move that the city of Temple authorizes the use of power of eminent domain to acquire fee simple title 3.0161 acres and 2 temporary construction easements of 0.4092 acres and 0.1716 acres, all interests being situated in the Nancy Chance Survey, Abstract 5, Bell County, Texas, embracing a portion of called 12.453 acre tract conveyed to 4202 Twin City LLC, and document number 20230239991, official public records of real property, Bell County, Texas, same being a portion of tract 4, Midway Industrial Park, and addition in the city of Temple, Bell County, Texas, according to the plat of record in Cabinet A, side 258A, plat records of Bell County, Texas, for the construction of the Outer Loop West project. You get the easy part.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. We have a second by Councilmember Kirkendall. Council, please cast your vote. Item 10 passes 4 votes to 0. That's the end of the agenda tonight, but before we dismiss, I would like to point out the group back there in the corner. That is the Leadership Temple class. I don't know, I think Leadership Temple started in, anybody know, 85?
87, 88.
You okay with
Carl,
that?
I was there.
last one. Someone knows precisely.
Yeah, so that's 42 years. And if you don't know, basically, Leadership Temple is a program that is conducted by the Temple Chamber of Commerce. And what it does, it allows employers to identify leaders within their organization, future leaders within their organization, and get them more familiar with all the things that are available for in the city of Temple and the surrounding areas. So now I'm going to put everybody on the spot. Stand up, one at a time. Tell us your name and where you work.
Cole Jones, club coordinator at Rockwell Ski Club.
Stacy McGinnis, I'm the branch manager and assistant vice president of the Downtown Temple Extra Co. And mayor. And I was acting mayor, yes, 2 days ago.
How much money did you spend? We just spent a bunch.
A lot.
Who lowered my chair? No. Who lowered my chair?
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering my chair was a different height.
Yeah.
Courtney Wilson, accountant for Keel Home Builders.
Okay.
Lisa Luna, director of operations for Temple EDC, and I was the city secretary for the month.
Amy Silva, principal of Pillar Architecture Studio.
Rosa Gonzalez, marketing manager at Council Brothers Board, and thank you for the bid.
You bet. Tell Harry. Very good. Well, thank y'all. Congratulations on being, my employer would never send me. So I don't know
He is
why.
his own employer.
Oh, It's not cheap either, by the way, so.
Mayor,
but-
can I say something really quickly? I'm just very proud that y'all behaved yourselves today at this meeting because they
Didn't
were.
tell you yesterday.
They were a rowdy group at the mock council meeting, but with a little bit of egging on by me. But they did great, and it was so much fun. And I really appreciate the fact that y'all were all willing to play along. So they did a great job.
We like them rowdy.
Yep.
Very good. Well, congratulations. Glad y'all are here. There's probably something y'all need to sign. Is that right? Okay. Very good. Y'all knew, y'all could have left. Maybe y'all aren't the brightest ones. I don't know. So, well, very good. Well, thank y'all. It is currently 6:20.